Audiobook Academy. Book Summary. Germinal. By Émile Zola. Germinal is Rougon 13th Makar's and second novel concerning the working class. The novel's central theme is the plight of miners and their battle for survival. With this novel, one of the author's earliest attempts to depict the conflict between capitalists and workers, it has earned a place within the canon of labor literature. It is based on a true story from France that occurred in 1884. Many miners went on strike during this time period in order to demand a change in their living conditions. In Zola's 20th novel, he describes how certain Rougon Makar family members fail because of a hereditary load. In addition to the described family, Zola depicted the Second Empire's socio-economic levels. His choice of character names in Germinal was deliberate since he wanted to convey his irony through their names. A metaphorical name like Voru can even be found in these names. The one that devours is the Latin root of the word voru. All words have meaning, and this month of the Republican calendar, Germinal, has a specific meaning. It is also a sign of rebirth and rebirth. It all stems from the final moment in which Etienne leaves the small town. He departs the same way he arrived, with a deep desire to see justice restored in the world. From the very beginning to the very conclusion, the book is full with contrasts. Despite the gloomy tone of the novel's beginning, the main character emerges from the shadows with a glimmer of optimism. As a result, the families of the miners and the owners of the mines are in stark contrast to one another. Among the numerous naturalistic elements of Germinal is the fact that biological heredity can lead to a person's downfall. An occurrence that truly occurred and about which Zola had some information was used to depict the mood of those times. Zola spent a lot of time with miners throughout his investigation, so he was able to get a personal look at the strike members and learn about their daily routines. Zola drew on the most graphic details of the strike in order to give his work an authentic feel. A man named Etienne Landier relocated to the little village of Monceau from Paris in search of work. Vincent Mahou, known as Bonamort, who worked the night shift unloading the wagons, was neither much of a help or a source of hope at the time. It was in the Voru mine that Etienne met the elderly Guy. Bonamort was a member of a family that had worked in the mines for generations. All of the Mahou family members who were capable of working were getting ready for the day at this early hour. Zachary, Catherine, Jeanlin, and Toussaint make up the four members of the family, with Toussaint being the oldest. Lenora, Henri, Althira, Estelle, and their mother are at home when their parents are at work. Every member of the family suffers because they are forced to live in such a modest home. They all have to live in the same room because their house is so small. People in the mining town were promiscuous, prone to alcoholism, and occasionally aggressive, making their lives unpleasant. A gate that resembled the legendary creature's mouth opened up in front of Etienne as he approached the mine in search of a job. Etienne, the son of the family's patriarch Mahou, stepped in as the leader of the organization after the death of a member. Both he and the Mias were in awe of each other. Because Catherine was so powerful and Zachary and Chaval were so rough, he initially mistook them for boys. He worked with all three of them. Etienne and Chaval were bitter enemies from the start, and Etienne had no idea that he was interfering in the marriage of Chaval and Catherine, whom he assumed to be his own wife while blindly following his orders. At the outset, we can observe the gulf that exists between the poor miners and the wealthy mine owners. A wealthy family, the Gregory family, is contrasted with the impoverished Mahou family, which Mahou's wife visited to seek for money. Only one bagel was given to the daughter of a wealthy household with only one child. Miss Hennebeau, accompanied by several high-ranking Parisian guests, visits the village and informs them that everyone will be established in and that the tranquil ambience and clean air make it a good place to visit from time to time. Because of the constant worry that the mine will cave in, working there has become increasingly hazardous. In order for the workers to earn more money, they had to devote more time to the construction of a safe structure. Because they were pressed for time, they were less than meticulous in their work. For their irresponsibility at work, they were often forced to pay, which only made their agony worse. Etienne was a mine worker who lived in a bar in Rassenura and went on strike. It was then that Etienne met Souverain, a Russian immigrant who inspired him to consider a life of insurrection against the capitalist system. He became enthused by the prospect of a miners' strike and organized a group to prepare for one. Souverain, on the other hand, was of the opinion that everything should be ripped apart and rebuilt from the ground up. Mahou's family condition deteriorated over time, especially after Zachary married and took possession of an empty house in the village that he had received as a gift from the corporation. He had one paycheck left when he packed up and departed. As a result, Etienne accepted their offer and now resides in their home. Catherine and Chaval shared a bed, and they developed feelings for each other, but she remained obedient to Chaval, who was torturing her every day. Because of his jealousy, she had to leave her family and relocate to a new location. The company's announcement that they were modifying its terms was the first sign of a strike. In the long run, they would save money by buying a smaller cart of coal, but the miners' fury was growing. When Jean-Lin Maheu was involved in an accident and suffered injuries to both of his legs, a strike was immediately called. The strike was led by Etienne. Peaceful action by the workers was sought by them, but revolutionary action by Souverain was sought by their employers to change their minds. There was little improvement despite the strike. Althera Maheu, a beloved member of the Maheu family, was tragically taken from them. More and more people were working in other mines as well as at Chaval and Catherine's, because they couldn't get along anymore. The owner of the mines contacted the army because the tension was rising and the miners were destroying machinery. Maheu was killed in the ensuing brawl. Chaval turned Etienne in as the head of the strike after the bloodbath, and he fled because of it. As a result of Etienne's confrontation with Chaval, he was saved by Catherine. Chaval became enraged and expelled Catherine from their home. She was unable to return to her parents, who had abandoned her when she was a child. Because she didn't think she was deserving of Etienne's assistance, she refused to accept it. Etienne was out of action for several weeks as he recovered from his injuries. As a result of his dissatisfaction, he made the decision to leave the mine. Sadly, many miners were killed and those who survived were forced to work in similar conditions in other mines. Despite the book's gloomy tone, the message that a man must take matters into his own hands if he hopes for a better future comes through. Etienne Lanter is the main character of the novel. He'd flown down from Paris specifically to look for work. Etienne was born to a woman named Gervaise, who struggled with alcoholism and was unmarried at the time of his birth. Les Memoirs, the first work in which he was mentioned, he does not try to flee the environment in which he was raised. On Catherine's face, we notice that he hasn't distanced himself from the aggression that would be exhibited later when he gets into a fight with Catherine. Because of where he lived, he tried to live another life, despite the fact that his existence was predetermined. Essentially, he was trying to make a point about how important it is to be open to new ideas. From the strike to the death of Katerina, everything he's gone through has made him a better person and solidified his commitment to socialism and revolution in general. Catherine was Maheu's daughter that worked in the mine. When she was a young girl, she was terrified by her family's tragic history and the bleak circumstances they lived in. When she saved Etienne's life, she showed how nice she was, yet she became the victim of the society in which she lived. Born and bred in poverty, she had no idea that she deserved anything better than Chaval since she had no idea what better was. Her tragic demise serves as just another example of how powerless individuals back then were to change the course of their lives. Novelist Émile Zola, 1840–1902, is widely considered to be a representative of the naturalism movement. His parents, an Italian and a French, raised him. Due to the tragic death of their paternal figure at the young age of 7, the young man was blessed with the disposition of the man who had raised them. He began his career as a journalist after interning at a publishing business as a young man. After that, he cut himself off from everyone and devoted himself solely to his work as a novelist. In the past, his work was criticized for being morally wrong, lacking in taste, and exaggerating excessively. Aside from that, he was accused of using harsh language while characterizing the characters he created. Émile Zola gained notoriety for his steadfast support of the working class. In the Dreyfus scandal of 1898, he made a name for himself with his film J'accuse, ushering in the era of the state. He fled to England when he was condemned. The topics of his publications included social issues in an attempt to demonstrate his moral character. He was of the opinion that society's ills deserved more attention. These include Late Vie, which was never finished, and the Quatre Évangiles, which was never completed. Nana, Thérèse Racan, and Les Memoirs are among his other notable works in addition to Germinal. His death occurred on September 29, 1902, in Paris. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.